Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm happy to be here today to present you the future of SAP licensing as we understand it. Today, I have with me one of our most experienced experts, which is Joanna Mikko. Hi, Joanna.
Hi, Francisco. Thank you for having me in this webinar.
It's a pleasure. Let's go on. So we'll be talking today about the usual challenges for clients in this year, which fits quite well with what we are treating. So what was licensing so far with SAP, and how do we see the future of SAP licensing 2025 and after that? Of course, migration to SAP S/4HANA is still on everyone's table, with the exception of the minority of 37% of companies who are already on SAP S/4HANA. Then we'll talk about the focal points of SAP licensing today and go on with our new tool, visoryQ FinOps Manager, a new approach to licensing that we've been putting together with Joanna's team, with Jürgen's team, Peter, all of the people in our team who have been working over the last 15, 20 years in licensing and have contributed to this. So thank you, team, for that. And thank you for having the privilege to be the one who's presenting this today. So no news so far on the SAP challenges. Is that also what you see, Joanna, with clients RISE with SAP, SAP S/4HANA? What are you seeing in your projects today?
Well, the challenges, there's still challenges with SAP licensing. I think what's being clear so far to me is that SAP licensing has always been complicated. But now with the various different ways forward, approaches, strategies, and the new licensing models, it's getting a bit more complicated and harder for a lot of customers to follow. And I do see this in the projects that we have ongoing and had ongoing so far, that there's some confusion that the customers have in choosing the right way forward, and also uncertainty and unclarity in what's the best choice for them. Even if they understand what it means, it's still hard to put all the pieces of the puzzle together and understand what's the best choice for their company.
That's the same I see. I remember that SAP's manager, CEO, he was talking about the fact that they are maintaining all too many versions through the past, which is really an issue, even for us as a license management company, it is. And so they're trying to get the clients to get a bit more homogeneous and get together their versions. What I didn't see coming is the fact that end of 2025 is already an unachievable target for many customers. With their acquirement or acquisition processes and RFP processes, specific government clients may run into trouble when doing an RFP to update SAP to SAP S/4HANA, and maybe not reach the target of 2025. So I was talking with one client the other day who was explaining exactly that. They have an RFP process that goes for around 9 months, and it is, since they haven't got the proper proposal on the table yet, it is unlikely that they will be ready end of 2025, and this will bring them into trouble. So who will maintain human resources? Who will maintain the tax declarations that are necessary, up to date, etc., etc. So, but let's move. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, just one more comment. I also saw that with customers in projects saying that they plan on migrating and starting their process soon, and next year, summer, spring, so on, they will be migrated, or start their migration process. But as we know with SAP projects, it happens, unfortunately, common enough to delay projects and for things to appear that causes, it turns out it's more complicated sometimes when you start implementing, and there are delays. So I wouldn't be surprised if big chunk of customers don't hit the deadline.
That's right. So let's see what happens if SAP sticks to that target or delays it. So another perspective on the questions today. When it comes to RISE with SAP, of course, the question is SAP able to manage my infrastructure, able to dimension and size properly my infrastructure, my SLA services? What will the renewal costs be in the future? How about I need to reduce the usage? How can I manage all of this? Migration to SAP S/4HANA, well, subscription or perpetual licenses. How can I avoid an exaggerated growth of my SAP costs and keep them in control? SAP users and full user equivalents, you need to make sure that you align your licenses with the usage before you migrate to full user equivalents or SAP S/4HANA users. Even if I must say I like very much the new user license types on SAP S/4HANA and RISE with SAP. They have given even the cheaper user types a lot of use rights, which is a really good change. So SAP licenses moving to subscription without losing control of costs. And I'm mostly talking about what can you do with your contract when you have a contract renewal date and want to avoid an increase of 30, 40%. How can you manage this and stay in control of that? I'll say you, Anna.
Yeah. So I wanted just to add, even with the full user equivalents, I hear customers asking or assuming very often that what they used to have with ECC licenses, professional, limited professional, and employees would convert directly to the full user equivalents, advanced use, core use, and self-service use, or the S4 licenses with the professional, functional, and productivity, which is not the case. As you mentioned, they do have different and more use rights. So the profiles are different, the definitions are different. So a conversion one-to-one is not the best way forward. So indeed, there's still a lot of areas where customers would need clarity on understanding what are the right licenses, as you said to buy or to acquire when they convert. And even maybe even speaking about digital access, which may come up again, as it was mentioned as a key challenge or question the customers still have. Even while the digital access adoption program and this topic has been ongoing for a few years now, there's still customers who struggle to understand what's causing the consumption, the risk, understand what they have ongoing, or suddenly realize that they have a big increase in documents that appear and struggle to see how this fits in their budget or in their plan for the future.
That's absolutely right. And well, naming it directly, the issue is very simple. If you have a lot of professional licenses these days, and want to migrate to SAP S/4HANA, you will eventually find out that a lot of those professional users in reality could cope with a lesser license. So for clients who already optimized their user types in the past and have workers, logistics users, project users, employee self-service, employee self-service core users, etc., it will be easier to do a conversion and they will likely fit better into the new environment. But clients who mostly have professionals and limited professionals will find out that a big chunk of these users will probably migrate to the lower license types, which now have a lot of use rights. So, and this brings us to what have we been doing in the past with clients? In the past, it was so that most clients have a core ERP system, so the SAP ECC system, some of them even on SAP S/4HANA, but mostly they had one big contract with the ERP system, contract that was including user licenses, engines, the database, non-SAP or HANA already, digital access. And then on top of that, they had a couple, not many cloud products. So mostly when it came to optimizing and looking into contracts, we were mostly looking into users, engines, digital access, a bit database. Now, this is changing today, of course. If you look into what bill of materials you find with clients today, well, of course, they have the ERP in the center, still the biggest module, still users, engines, digital access, now mostly HANA. But then again, some of them even have SAP S/4HANA on-prem plus RISE with SAP in a specific country. Or they are already on SAP S/4HANA for everything, or RISE with SAP on everything. But then you have public cloud products such as SuccessFactors, SAP Analytics Cloud. A lot of what was on-prem yesterday is now on the cloud. And even if you're not there yet, it is likely that over the next years, at least a part and a not so small part of your products will migrate to the cloud. Why? This is mostly likely to happen with products that don't have big requirements on performance. So if you have a fairly standard product that is, say, financial consolidation, things like that, that are not used by lots of users and all the time, that is a perfect product to be acquiring as a software as a service product. So the bill of materials of the client is changing. More products are migrating to be on the public cloud, BTP, such as AI, such as the new data warehouse versions, etc. And then, of course, you have to also now manage services that you have contracted with SAP and infrastructure. Is it still performance? Is it performant? Is it still big enough, etc.? On top of that, of course, you have your SAP migration project. So what was 4 boxes in the past is now something more towards the 10 boxes that we need to analyze, to look into the usage of this, etc. What else? So SAP is adapting to that. So now something that I love, this has taken a big burden from us in analyzing the contract history of 30 years of contracts of a client. You have your SAP bill of materials in a fairly reliable way. Sometimes you may find minor mistakes, but what I can see is in 99% of cases, clients have a proper bill of materials on SAP for me. So you enter the portal, you can look into what you bought, the licenses you own with SAP, and you can download your bill of materials. Love that. Then they have included there, also when you see a product, you see a link to your metric descriptions and measurement principles, which is very helpful too when you're preparing an audit and counting licenses and seeing what your usage is. And now for the public cloud, as announced, I think it was maybe 2 years ago, I don't quite remember, they started to deliver consumption data for the public cloud and for BTP. For BTP, magnificent, because you not only see consumption data, but also financial data. For the public cloud, at least you see the consumption data, which is very good. So what does it mean for you today, and what will it mean in the future? So in the past, you had an ERP system, you had to run USMM and ESLO yourself, take a lot of work in measuring licenses. Now you're getting a part of this consumption data from SAP themselves for products which are on the public cloud. So user classification. First question of our clients, do we still need this on RISE with SAP and SAP S/4HANA? What is your take here, Joanna?
It's measuring the consumption of the licenses. So basically the license type that's assigned to the users, not necessarily the license types that's optimally assigned to the user or consumed by the user. So it's showing you, as it used to be, as USMM and ESLA used to show, the license type that you have assigned to the users. But what we are doing with most of our projects and with our customers is helping them with our tools to understand and assign the optimal license to the users, the cheapest license possible, so that they're consuming, obviously, the least amount of licenses or value.
Exactly. What is it that we are getting new? We said we are getting from SAP now public cloud consumption and the bill of materials. But of course, we still need to measure and classify users on the new platforms. We still need to measure and classify the perpetual platforms if you don't move to RISE with SAP. We need to measure the private cloud products. Now we have different public cloud products, and understand something. SAP is delivering the consumption, but it is they are not necessarily optimizing your products. Take as an example, SuccessFactors. You contract succession and development, and you bought 500 licenses for it. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that if you registered 500 users, you're already using this platform for 500 users. So there is a lot of manual work to be done, and still to understand what you're actually licensing. And on top of that, you have the consumption, but now the question is, what is the financial risk behind it? So with the exception of BTP, SAP is not delivering financial measurements today in saying, well, I bought licenses or I subscribed licenses for $1 million. How much am I consuming today? You can see this for BTP, but you can't see this for any of the other platforms. And now you have, instead of a big chunk platform like the ERP system, maybe 7, 8, 10, 15 different platforms, and you have infrastructure and you have services. So you need to consolidate all of this data now. Once you have the consumption, calculate the financials behind this consumption, and so calculate the true-ups that you will need to do this year, or the swaps of licenses that you will need to do. And this is where we are seeing something to do. So these are the thoughts that drove us to build together with the team this FinOps Manager. So we are wanting to look into different perspectives here. Of course, new authorization-based licensing for users. So we will be comparing in SAMQ now usage with authorizations. So what are people authorized to do and what are they actually doing? Because this would only say, well, my authorizations are not optimized, but that doesn't mean I should stick with the fact that I need the expensive licenses for all just because I gave them the SAP all rights. So then I need to consolidate different types of licenses and measurements. I have on-premises, I have public cloud, private cloud, infrastructure consumption, BTP consumption, services, etc. Now the sources of the measurements are also different, because I have SAP for me, I may have SAMQ or USMM/SLO. I have XMLs for HANA. I have business objects maybe still in place. I haven't migrated it to one of the new data warehouse platforms. And all of this becomes more and more complex. Now, one of the things that we understood talking with Gartner analysts, talking with clients, is clients are less and less interested in handling software themselves, having to learn how to manage a new software such as SAMQ, such as visoryQ. This is why we also wanted to include the principle of always offering managed services and saying, well, we'll take care of the software part for you. We need software because it's just not efficient today to work without software. So we have visoryQ, we have SAMQ, we have RAMQ, etc. But we can manage this for you. Where does this bring us to? So we still have in front of us, or at least 63% of clients are still in front of a decision of where to migrate in the future. So ECC, SAP S/4HANA Perpetual, or RISE with SAP, or a version which is a hybrid version of all of this, even eventually with other manufacturers in place, such as Salesforce, Workday, etc. And for these parts, so right-sizing the licenses and contracts for the future, understanding the TCO, making informed decisions, and understanding all options without any bias, so without any marketing messages, a clean evaluation of what the options are and what is the best fit for you. This is what we support today with SAMQ, License Optimizer for SAP, and visoryQ, Business Case Builder. So this is something we have been having in place for the last 24 months already. visoryQ, well, sorry, not so much. I think it's already a year. visoryQ Business Case Builder, a lot of years, 7, 8 years for SAMQ License Optimizer. And now what's coming new? FinOps Manager, which is what we consider the future of SAP licensing. So apart of optimizing your core licenses, apart from planning your migration to SAP S/4HANA, which is everything that you see here on the right side. Now we are looking at the left side, and it is about, on the first side, looking at consumption from different sources. So ECC, SAP S/4HANA, RISE with SAP. Then the public cloud and business technology platform. Then, of course, you also need to manage your self-declarations and understand how many employees you have this year, how much spent, how much transportation transportation costs, cost of goods sold, spent, etc. So the business metrics, interface for infrastructure and services. Understand maybe you are contracting your infrastructure from AWS directly, Azure, Google Cloud, IBM, or you're having your servers with RISE with SAP. So consumption, but then make a financial interpretation of this. So you want to, in the end, have your effective license position, meaning this is what I bought, this is what I'm consuming. Is it more, is it less? So the total cost of ownership, quarterly reports, quantitative and financial analysis. And then, of course, the question of risk. Where is this leading me to? My company is growing over time. How much more will I have to grow my SAP licenses? What is the true up expected at the end of this year going to be? Is it $5,000? Is it $5 million? So you need to plan financially, plan your budgets, etc. So in order to get there, we need a lot of things to be managed here. So the bill of materials, you have it on SAP for me. So the baseline for comparisons of usage is your SAP bill of materials. Then you have consumption for some products, fine. We compare it with it. SAP is already doing this for the public cloud. Then we need to look at your roles and responsibilities. So this is the services that I'm doing myself. This is the services that SAP is doing for me. What is the actual consumption of services with SAP? Does it match what I contracted? Am I over the top or under? Eventually, if you want to do a financial assessment and you are in the countries where SAP is providing you with price lists, for BTP you have them anyway, you want to import those price lists and compare your usage with their price lists. Then the products and the measurement IDs. Now, this is a complicated issue. We have set up an own database where we have the product SKUs, so the products you find in a price list, and the measurement IDs. So that when we find measurements, be it on USMM, be it on SAP for me, be it on an own measurement such as business objects or HANA, we can match the measurement to a specific product manually or otherwise. Then we have the issue with the contracts. Well, I remember that we bought in the past this and that. What contract? Where do I find this? You want to have your contract history in the system. You want to understand where your money is going, so category management, saying, if I look at the 80% top of my spend with SAP, where is this going? This is a HANA database, which typically will be 15% of your ERP costs. Or is this going to SuccessFactors, SAP Analytics Cloud, or a particular line of business product that I have? So what are the weights in my bill of materials? And what are the biggest products at risk if I grow? If my revenue goes up, what will then happen?
So Francisco, it sounds like you're bringing a lot of pieces of the puzzle together in one spot, right? So gathering all the information on the background, the history, the historic documents, the consumption, the products, the financial aspects, everything into one spot, and seeing if something changes, how that will impact all the other pieces of the puzzle, right?
You're right. We have the managed services to it. So this looks complicated, doesn't it? I mean, it looks like a lot of pieces of a puzzle and a long time to put this together. Thank you for the picture. Now, one of the secrets of our success in the past has been the opportunity to offer simple products quickly implemented to all client sizes. And this is exactly what we are planning with FinOps Manager today. So we will be supporting this license management cycle that you can see here. So setting the baseline with your bill of materials, updating it every year as you buy more and more SAP products, measuring the different sources, reporting and evaluating the consumption and the true-up needs, etc., and then giving you the chance to implement the changes by contracting additional products, swapping products, adapting the SAP contracts to what you need. So this is an ongoing cycle, and this is what we will be supporting with a new tool, FinOps Manager. But then again, it's important that we support this with services. We want to take the burden away from the client of having to manage this complex environment by themselves. And we can do this in different delivery models. For each of them, we will offer you a managed service so that we can access everything. So you can see a prospective homepage of this new tool here of the FinOps Manager, where we, on the left side, are talking about products and consumptions. So what SAP products do I have? Which is simple, nothing much more than what SAP is showing here on their portal. But then the measurements, how many measurements have I done so far this year? So for the different qualities, on-prem, public cloud, private cloud, BTP, etc. And then what consumption do I have? So which products need a true-up, which products are out of use, etc. Then the financial part. So what was my budget for this year? SAP kindly sends me a prospective list of the invoices that I will be paying this year. This is my budget. This is what I contracted. What does it actually look like now? So what is the financial consumption? What is BTP? Am I over what I contracted? Am I under it? How about public cloud? So I will be seeing the single pieces, and I will be getting dashboards for every single piece. So business metrics, consumption metrics, true-ups that are in front of me so that I can show my management properly, pure licensing dimensions such as users, engines, digital access, BTP, SuccessFactors, SAP Analytics Cloud. So groups of products, logical groups of products in their consumption, but also a financial perspective like, well, my budget was 1 million for this year. My actual consumption is 1.1 million. It is likely that I will have to do at the end of the year a true-up of that. But on the other hand, decommission these products, which were worth 50,000. I can eventually negotiate with SAP decommissioning these products. And what does revenue look like? Revenue has an impact on my licensing of this. Is my revenue growing this year? Is the number of employees growing this year? And which impact does this have on my licenses? So new perspective, it is a consolidated perspective on licensing. We add financial perspectives to the consumption perspectives. We stop talking only about the ERP system as the main thing. The ERP system will be a part of the whole with the users, digital access, HANA database. But now we also offer at the same importance things like SAP Analytics Cloud, SuccessFactors, BTP, etc. That's the idea, and we bring you the services to cope with that, the tools that you need to manage all of this, the interfaces to different places where you get your measurements together. Also, thing that we understood. Now, we did first pilots in the past with dashboards. You may have seen them. The first pilot we did was with Power BI. Good to learn for us. Not so good for offering applications that are offered in the market as a solution, as we found. But there was one thing we learned here. Dashboards are nice. They visualize things in a better way, but they are not sufficient. So we went over to this new visual model, which is you have the dashboard, you have the data, and both are same important. So you can increase the size of the dashboard on the left to full screen. You can increase the size of the right side, the table, to full screen. You can filter, you can analyze your data, either on the visual side or on the data side. And we want to offer you here all perspectives of licenses. So the product groups. We want to manage measurements on a quarterly basis because it is the most likely thing to happen in companies. So every quarter is a new project. You collect all the measurements, some of them automatically, some of them eventually manually. Maybe you want to update your self-declaration or just take it over from the last quarter because it is not likely to change every quarter. And you put all of this data set together, and this is now your quarterly data, and you visualize this. So at first it is a draft. When you're ready, you publish it. What else? So we consolidate the different sources. SAMQ for user license optimization, digital access management, engine metrics, things like that. SAP for me for public cloud consumption. BTP cockpit, BTP measurements on the SAP for me, but we bring them together with the financial data that we have on the database to make a financial interpretation. We can also import USMM XMLs to have a quick insight into what it will look like in the next audit. And then generic interfaces where you could even take measurements of, say, Oracle, Workday, whatever tool you have there and want to integrate your measurements there. So data consolidation from multiple sources, partially automated, partially manual. As the market evolves, if you get automated measurements, you can implement them here. So then dashboards. Dashboards that give you better insight into the results of your situation. Your effective license position about users, engines, self-declaration, digital access, HANA, etc. So as I said, dashboards plus the data that belong to it. What else? So it is also important, as we said, to start quickly. So what is the quick start? Well, the quickest start is SAMQ, of course. You have the data of your ERP system. And we visualize the data of your ERP system now with dashboards, which is like what we will call visoryQ FinOps Manager Essentials. Next slide, please. So we have the essentials part, we have the advanced part where we do financial analysis. So you start with measurements and consumption. You complete this with financial data. And the next step is you complete this with all the cloud measurements and cloud consumption. So 3 different models of managed services, 3 different levels of complexity. You start small, you can grow with it, with the same tool, with the same services as you need it, as you want it. Maybe you just are not so far with your company, so you want to start small and you start with the essentials model. It is offered as a service. It is software, SAP license management as a service. It is a 360-degree view on SAP licensing. You can look at everything. You can start small and grow over time until you have everything under control. And it is a soft transition from SAMQ and visoryQ business case builder. So with SAMQ, you started measuring users, engines, digital access. With a business case builder, you defined which is the right way for me to take the right path. Is it SAP S/4HANA Perpetual? Is it RISE with SAP? Am I migrating now my business objects to SAP Analytics Cloud? We define the path, we set the budget, and now we have the FinOps Manager to do the regular license management with it. This will go to market beginning of December of this year. So visoryQ is already as a cloud application available, the business case builder, and so the FinOps Manager will be there too, connected to SAMQ, and a new dimension of SAP license management. So I look forward to see the first clients using this. We have had a lot of success with the business case builder and are still having when clients are these things. Let's look into the FinOps Manager, but I'm really impressed by the easy overview of such a complex environment and how useful this might be for our clients. So looking forward to see this.
Yeah, that's also how you said in the beginning, Francisco, that based on our experience with customer projects and feedback from customer, it really did feel like this was something that was missing, a product or one spot where you can put all the pieces together and have all the information, not just the consumption, but also the financial aspects.
Absolutely, and we have been having a hard time understanding in which direction to go with this. So the past was simpler. It was the ERP system, it was the core system. And one of the things that made it a bit difficult for us to understand is, well, SAP is going in so many directions and they are acquiring new companies, which is normal. I mean, it's part of their business model. So now you have artificial intelligence, now you have customer satisfaction and customer experience, now you have human resources, so all new tools. And this is the idea and this is the strategy. So one of the things that we are going into in a more intense way is offering services, number one. So managing SAP, helping the client manage SAP. So we start small with proving potentials in license management for you, sizing the future, how much SAP do you need in the future, full user equivalence, engines, etc. What is the status quo today? So the ELP project, understanding this is what I purchased, this is what I'm using. Planning for the future, the business case analysis with visoryQ business case builder, financial scenarios, total cost of ownership, and then the regular SAP license management with a financial perspective, with consolidated measurements for all platforms. This is how we see the future of license management. This is what you will be able to get from us from December on. So far, we have the left 4 blocks. The last block that is coming for now to it is the one on the right side where we are completing SAMQ with visoryQ FinOps Manager. And that's about it. I think this gives us a little insight. As last, understand our portfolio of products and services here, SAMQ, visoryQ, RAMQ, SETQ, so for business controls, fraud and error management, authorizations and roles management here, the quick assessments to get a first insight into all of this. As said, for 63% of clients, they have not migrated to S/4HANA yet. The S/4HANA and RISE with SAP strategy, planning, supported by visoryQ business case builder, and then the typical projects, audit preparation, audit defense, negotiation support, contract reviews, and the managed services in all dimensions of this. This is our future portfolio as it will look like. Part of this, big part of this is already there, but this is where we are going. And with this, I think we can go over to the Q&A session. Yeah. Thank you very much for participating today so far, and let us know your questions about all of this.
Thank you.
Tony Wise with us now, VP of the APAC and the Middle East region. Thanks for joining us. And before we actually go over to the question, we'd like to go through a little survey with you guys. 4 questions, pretty simple, just to generally see where we all stand with migration and with the SAP licensing landscape. And you'll see a little, so don't worry about the compliance part. So it's anonymous, no one sees a name. There is no problem at all. Just feel free to click away and tell us what you think. So for this internal round, we know where we stand with the topic. Let me just start that. And here we go with the first question. You should be seeing it popping up on your screens just now. So the first one is, have you already decided on your future migration path yet? So ECC, S/4HANA, Perpetual, RISE, or anything else external? Is this already happening, or do you still think you have quite a bit of time, at least until 2027? I'm going to leave this open for another 5 seconds from now. And then Tony might comment on the actual importance of when and how to decide, and whether it is a time pressure out there or nothing to be stressed out about. Closing in 2 seconds from now, and it looks like quite a few have already made the decision. And the question is there a way back? Is it necessary to do it now? Let me just show you the results. 88% said they already did, Tony.
Okay, and it's interesting, when it's still 13% said no, which is obviously still a significant minority, in my opinion. Of the 88%, it's obviously been very interesting to know what their decision is. We know from the work that we've done with customers that, again, a significant minority are planning to actually stay on ECC and just see what happens. S/4HANA Perpetual, which I'm assuming we mean S/4HANA on-premise Perpetual licensing, again, RISE is something that the SAP is pushing. RISE and Grow, of course, are some things that SAP is massively pressuring customers to move to. Again, I think it's good that people have made the decision. Whether they fully understand the ramifications of that decision and what they need to do in the future, 2027, 2030, etc., is an open question. I guess that comes back to what the decision is. But that 13%, hey guys, you need to start thinking about what your future plans are, because otherwise SAP will make those plans for you, and that's never a good negotiation.
Interesting, good point, interesting input, because that's actually what the next question is about. It's about actually having the total information about what you're planning to do. Do you feel you understand all the migration options, including their TCO? So do you feel you're actually informed, or is there any other driver that made you make the decision in a certain direction? Going to leave this open for another 5 seconds from now. So from what I've heard, quite a few people are on a path where this has been discussed internally, probably without having all the information they needed. And I wonder whether this is still a a question they can ask themselves. Do I have all the information that I need? I'm going to close this in 2 seconds from now and show you the results. And I think this is actually quite interesting, especially in comparison to the first question. And I said, well, not really. 83% say, I don't think I understood all the options, or I saw, or I was actually proposed all the options that I actually have. Is this a common contradiction here, you think?
Yeah, this is a slightly worrying answer, isn't it? That people feel they've made the decision already without actually knowing all the implications of that decision. This is exactly how we help customers, of course. We help them make the decision that's right for them. So we look at all the options, we look at all the TCO, we look at the infrastructure, we look at everything involved in the various different ERP solutions, and then we help customers make the right decision based on having full visibility of the information. I'd be concerned if I had made a decision and I didn't know what my options were. So this is a slightly, as you say, it's a slight contradiction. Well, no, it's not a slight contradiction. It's quite a major contradiction to the first answer, the first question. If people don't understand the options, of course, companies like us, that's what we're here for, to help provide that visibility and help provide that clarity. So if you have any doubts that you've made the right decision, please feel free to reach out to us and we can have a chat.
Yeah, I also think that might be a part of an internal communication problem, or not even to call it a communication problem, internal difference in perspectives. And this is what the next question aims for. I'm going to show you in a sec. Do you feel your C-level, or let's say the decision makers that are not from your department, fully understand the impact of SAP licensing on your SAP systems? SAP licensing being standing for anything technical or anything crucial that actually impacts the system itself and your TCO. Leaving this open for another 5 seconds. The answers so far make me smile. You're going to see why in a minute. Yeah, I think this is this is pretty straightforward. Let me show this to you. I was hoping this would be a slightly different number here, actually.
Yeah, I was anticipating something like this. But this is the interesting question, actually. It raises a very good question, particularly in the RISE scenario, because SAP prides itself on selling to the C-level. And so if you're not confident that your C-level understands the implications of the decisions they're making, and yet SAP is the one that's talking to your C-level and convincing them to do it, this comes back, this sort of resonates with the previous question, doesn't it? We have made decisions based on not quite sure what information, and the person who's made the final decision, we have no confidence that they know what decision, the implications of the decision they've made. I think we can draw our own conclusions from that.
One might argue it might not even be their fault in a way. So maybe if all the information is not there, they have to sort of put
no, it's not their fault. It's part of the sales process. It's a deliberate process from SAP to a certain extent to sell at a level and sell on a business proposition without really getting into the nitty-gritty about what it actually means. So obviously a mature customer would spend an awful lot of time on the business case, on the analysis, on the strategy, and before they actually engage with SAP. SAP tries to a certain extent take advantage of that lack of preparation by providing the answers for you, very much in inverted commas there. It's that sales process, unfortunately, that sometimes gets customers into a situation where they make a move based on absolutely the right intentions. I'm not suggesting that anyone does this because they know it's going to be bad for the organization. But if they don't have the information, then you're sort of on a wing and a prayer, aren't you? You're just hoping it all goes well. Yeah. So comes down to that analysis again, the preparation up front.
So they might need an advocate, or to use a different word, a translator like us, to say, okay, that's what you got, but this is the actual options that you have compared to your system.
Someone who's going to, yeah, someone's going to give you independent, completely non-biased view of what's right for your organization. Or no, not what's right, just so you have a completely transparent view, and then you can make a decision. No, nothing's 100% cut and dried in this world, is it? I mean, I'm not just talking about SAP licensing, but anything. Nothing is 100%. So obviously, some customers are going to say, "Okay, we know RISE is a little bit more expensive, but no, it's easier to manage. It gives us this. It means we have to cut out this. Fine." Other customers say, "Yes, we know RISE is a little bit cheaper, but we like having control of our environment. We like being able to do what we want with customization. We want to have control. We don't want to have full vendor lock-in." So there's obviously different things at play with different customers, but having the information, making a rational decision based on the facts, that, in my opinion, that's something that no one should shy away from in any element of life, really, not just SAP licensing. So I'm not trying to give a philosophical debate here, but
you're right.
I just think it just makes common sense. Get the information.
Talking about transparency, the last out of the 4 questions, and then we're through with this, is what you just said, basically. Are SAP proposals, this is referring to the proposals only, but in general, are SAP proposals fully transparent to you? Because some of the, you get proposals and they include different options, and you have the feeling you've been talked through well, and sometimes you get something where you think, this is the only choice I have. So it's not even a question, this is what you should do. Going to leave this open for another 5 seconds. Again, this is a hard one on as a comment on SAP's proposals, if you ask me. Let me just show you what it says, and this is 0 to 100. So
yeah, and to a certain extent, this does depend on who our audience is. If we're talking to, if our audience today is an IT team, a technical IT team, maybe it's fair to say that they wouldn't know the full details of an SAP proposal. Even in the old on-premise world, maybe the technical team wouldn't fully understand exactly what was in the SAP contract. So this answer doesn't surprise me. It would concern me if the IT managers on this call answered no. It would concern me if those C-level people that we didn't have any faith in a minute ago, if they were on the call and they were saying no. So again, it depends upon who we're speaking to on this one, but it doesn't matter who we're speaking to. I guess the answer is still 100% that we don't have full visibility. Again, we can draw our conclusions from that. You need visibility to make the right decisions. And if we are talking to a technical team today, and if someone from your IT management or your C-level management comes to you and says, what do you think about the RISE proposal? What do you think about the S/4HANA proposal? What do you think about X, Y, or Z? I think you need to be honest. I mean, there's often a little bit of pressure on people to say that they know more than they do, if you see what I mean. I think it's beholden to you and your organization that if you're not sure of something, if you're not sure about the benefits it's going to bring you, then you say no, I don't have that information. And that way your C-level will probably start asking questions. That would be my view anyway. Acknowledge that you don't know the answers, which the people on today's call have, which I think is fantastic. But do something with that. Do something with it.
I'll actually jump into straight into the first question, if that's okay with you, Francisco. And it's quite a specific one. It looks like it's from someone who already has our products in use, at least SAMQ. And it says, does visoryQ, I imagine this is referring to the business case builder, does visoryQ still make sense if we have already moved to S/4HANA and have SAMQ in use? So is this sort of, can we recheck or turn anything around with it? Or is it good for the next type of negotiation with the SAP?
Yes, it does. So SAMQ is, when we look at the contracts today, we find out that users are still a very relevant part. Now with RISE, it is full user equivalence. Nevertheless, not assigning user license properly, they are then later on during the audit translated in full user equivalence. that could lead you to overspending unnecessarily. So understanding your real need for particular user licenses is still a relevant part of the game. Now, whether this is 20% or 50% of your whole spend with SAP, this depends very much on the client, but managing users is still a relevant part of the game. So yes, SAMQ still makes sense. On S4HANA, SAP S4HANA and RISE with SAP. Now, with the comparison between authorization-based and usage-based licensing, even more. To give you a hint on where are your roles and authorizations eventually not aligned with your user classification.
Excellent. Going to the next one, and I'm going to read it out as it is. Can you help with evaluating a specific SAP proposal? So I imagine this is a question. Can you help us interpret it? And I think this is what we do basically on a daily basis. What do you think, Francisco?
Absolutely. We are right now probably in 10 parallel processes for different clients doing exactly that. That's our daily job.
The next one is funnily phrased, and I actually understand where it's coming from. And it says, you keep on acting as if a licensing cleanup is best before doing anything. Why do you state that?
Maybe two things. One of them is, first of all, to understand the pricing model in your contract. We are seeing that so some clients are spending 10% for users, mostly more, 20%. Others go up to 70%. So understanding where your pricing is important. But then again, the question of cleaning up means eventually you could get in a situation where you would be migrating a lot of shareware into SAP S4HANA or RISE, and so increasing necessarily the costs very relevantly. So understand what you need in the future. It has a big financial impact. That's the background of it.
Is the FinOps Manager not just a data collector? Well, I would say, yeah, of course it is, but it helps go the strategy. What do you think about this one? This is actually questioning what would I need this for and why shouldn't I do this on my own?
Yeah, I like this question because that's a crucial question. What is the value of it, right? Why wouldn't we do the same with Excel? So, of course, it's nicer and more beautiful than Excel when it comes to licensing, but that's not the point. The value is FinOps. It's the methodology of FinOps. So it's, on the one hand, completing it with SAMQ to do user licensing, but then consolidating this data with the data that you get from SAP for me on the consumption, for BTP, software as a service, so private cloud, public cloud, etc., things like SuccessFactors, SAP Analytics Cloud, BTP, etc. So consolidation, you still could do this with Excel. What you can't do, though, is the financial modeling and financial evaluation behind it. So I think SAP over the next years will get better and better in delivering consumption data. And eventually, we could even get to a point where SAMQ is not needed anymore in the future. We are not there yet because SAP doesn't seem to want to provide this kind of tools, but I don't really know. I would like to see them providing this. We have other things to do. We don't really care about it. But the value of it is the financial evaluation of this consolidated data. So getting not only an ELP perspective on what is the overall consumption for all product groups, but also where is the weight of the products, where do I have risks, how much money will I have to spend this year that wasn't foreseen, so what is my exposure level on the compliance side, and how big will my true-ups be likely, etc. So having quarterly insight into the financial evaluation and following up with changes that you need to agree with SAP to get your compliance aligned.
The next one is, can I try before I buy, to put it in my words? It says, will there be a POC or a demo by the end of December where we can see how the FinOps Manager works? It's quite a legitimate question.
So
I like it when
the
the people
December, Yeah, by the end of December, we'll definitely have a demo. And it is, that we have this proof of concept or quick license assessment process with SAMQ. In the future, we will support the quick license assessment with visoryQ FinOps Manager to give people a little insight into what they could get in the future when they do, well, the most modern possible license management. So yes, first step demo, yes, end of December, and maybe, I don't know, 1 to 2 months later, starting to do quick license assessments on the basis of visoryQ. Nevertheless, I still think there is a point 3 to come, which is testing out visoryQ FinOps Manager for those clients who already have SAMQ and getting a bit more functionality and being able to test it. So yes, we'll be there.
Excellent. And I think this is the last one that I have here. What is the standard duration of a visoryQ project? It doesn't say the FinOps or a business case builder. I suppose this is about the business case builder.
Yeah, so the business case builder is a one-time project where we assess the migration to SAP S/4HANA or RISE with SAP and show the client the options. Typically, it's a project between 2 and 4 months. The visoryQ FinOps Manager is more about managing software asset management for SAP. So it's a continuous service where you all the time reassess your bill of materials, compare the usage with what you purchased, deliver quarterly reporting, prepare the audits once a year. So it's a yearly subscription mostly.
Okay, thanks very much. That's the last question that I read. If you have any more, please feel free to contact us via labs@voquuzlabs.com. Francisco is also present on LinkedIn if you prefer that communication line. We read our mails and we will get back to you. And if you feel there is a topic missing, actually, we do, every now and then we do have our content meeting where we discuss what we think is the most type of webinar most valuable for our customers. If something is missing from your point, please, send us a suggestion and you might see your topic in the webinar pipeline of VOQUZ Labs. Francisco, thanks very much.
It's a pleasure. Maybe one last reminder, Stefan. For clients in Europe, we will be at the Gartner Symposium in Barcelona in November. And for clients in America, we will be at the SAMS USA convention in Chicago beginning of December. Also very interesting, where you can see what's happening on the software asset management market in America in general, and we'll be there too, even with a customer of us presenting a success story. So looking forward to see you there.
Excellent reminder. Thanks for that. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.
It's a pleasure. See you.